My husband's here. I'm so glad. Yay. Reverend Glenn Ganaway, everybody. I'm starting today in a place of emotional wellness and so full of love and joy for your gifts to me as a community. You have played an important part in my journey. As I came to know you a few years back, I was presenting as Roger, and now everywhere I go, and it's been an interesting journey. Everywhere I go, I am now presenting as Yolanda, Reverend Yolanda, and I want to share a bit of that journey with me. It started in 1994, but as many trans people do, we have challenges along the way and pressures from society. And so today's topic, identity plus crisis equals authenticity. And so it's from my perspective, and maybe it'll resonate with you in your particular journey. I want to start and emphasize again the meditation that I mentioned, the phrase, God has condemned me not. No more do I. No more do I. I find sometimes that most of us are so busy condemning ourselves that we can't get to that place of authenticity because, we're so down on ourselves. So I think that that's an important thing to practice is self-love, and we're going to do a little exercise at the end. But I wanted to start off with some questions, and for the purposes of my talk, I'm going to sort of separate the idea of identity and authenticity and then show you where they can come together, okay? So the questions that I want to start off with is, what is our authentic self? And is identity, authenticity, are they the same thing? And like I said, I do believe that there is a place where these two things intersect. And I found this for myself. I'm going to share my journey with you. I know that in my life, and certainly all of us can relate to this because it happens to every single one of us. We are born, our moms pop us out. God bless them, we love our moms, and they bring us into this world, and the doctor slaps us on our booty and pronounces us a boy or a girl. Now, according to our external appearance. And as we've learned, as our consciousness has grown in the world, we understand that that external appearance is not always the indicator of gender identity. So hence the very first crisis we come up with, certainly in my life, identity plus crisis in the delivery room. Oh, goodness. So it started off that way. But also with all of us, I know in all of our lives, we've been assigned many, many identities by parents, teachers, bosses, and Western culture in general. These assignments have not been authentic to me in my life. So I set out early on to find that authenticity for myself. And like I said, your community has been a very big part of that. So let's go back to the beginning again. No, my family did not name me Yolanda. That was a name that I picked up later on and said, I am Yolanda. But no, my parents did not name me that. They named me Roger Anthony Mapes, and they call me Tony. They still call me Tony. Now, I like that name, Tony, that little nickname. I always related to it because I felt like it was sort of a gender fluid sort of name, right? And so we have Anthony, or we have Tony, and somebody was mentioning a lady that's coming to speak named Tony. So I love that. I love to hear, that name. When I was growing up, there was a hair product called Tony, and there was a advertisement for it on TV, and she had luscious hair, and I was like, oh, ooh, girl, I like that. And so I was like, Tony is my name. So I spelled it Toni with a little heart over the I. So that was my first experience with understanding my gender variance. But my family certainly identifies me as male, and I disagree. So there we go, another identity plus crisis. Now, so I grew up in Alabama, and I know. We get a ooh from the audience, ooh. Yes, it was very interesting. And I was I guess, precocious kid because I understood myself to a degree, and the world around me wanted to impose certain identities on me. So anyway, I go to school, and my teachers and even the principal, this was really funny, they would not allow him to do that today, like your story. Anyway, called me all kinds of assorted identities, fag, queer, pansy, other humiliating epithets. But I disagreed. So that was another identity plus crisis. Now, I've always been very interested in spiritual things. I grew up in the church. I was always really, really connected to spirit. I felt, even as a young person, that I was wondrously and gloriously made, I really did. I felt that way. And my church didn't preach that. They said that I was a sinner, and I disagreed. I disagreed very early. They tried to give that identity to me as a sinner, and I said no. So that was another crisis. Now, when I began to really discover my sexual orientation and gender nonconformity, at that time there wasn't really words like we have now for transgenderism, so it was still very much in the closet, and we're just now coming out into the open now. But at that period in time, the community I associated with and hung out with, called me a gay man, and I disagreed. That was another identity plus crisis. But even sometimes in the trans community, we try on different ways of expressing, so there's a whole range of stuff within that community. And I'm sure you've had similar experiences where your identity, maybe the identity that has been assigned to you or identities that you've created for yourself, really didn't seem to work with the authenticity that you knew was in there. I want to tell you this funny story. I just love this story because I live in a great neighborhood. We have spas galore and nail salons and eyebrow salons and, massage, and you can get everything done in my neighborhood. So if you're ready to have a spa day, come visit me, okay? But I went over to the eyebrow salon, and I decided to get my eyebrows done. So I walked in, I didn't have my wig on or my makeup on that day because I didn't want it to get in the way of what she was doing with the threading and everything. But I had made a point to look at the price list before I went because I wanted to make sure, because, my cash was doing some funny things that day, and I wanted to make sure that I had exactly enough to pay her and give a tip, because I think, people should get a tip. So I had enough to everything to give her a tip and all of that, and I thought it was generous. So I went and got my eyebrows done. I was feeling good. I went up to the cashier, and they charged me a whopping double the price, right, practically. And I was like, excuse me, the sign on the wall says X amount. And the cashier said, we always charge men a higher price. And I was like, my first reaction was, and what I said was, how do you know I'm a man? Because I thought, now how are we going to determine this, What's the criteria here, And of course that just didn't register, so they kept repeating, we always charge a higher price for the man, we always charge a higher price for the man. And I was like, look, it's okay, here's what I'm going to do. your price on the wall says this, I'm going to give that to you. Now the rest of the money that you want me to pay you, I'm going to give to the attendant as a tip. And that's what I did. And everybody laughed because I once again said, how did you create this criteria, you know? And we actually got a good laugh out of that all around the room, and we enjoyed each other, and it was fine, you know? But the point of that story being that I've come to this place of authenticity within myself where I don't have to be offended by other people's perceptions of me because I'm confident in who I am and what my gift is in the world, you know? And so that was fun for me. I like those people. I go over there all the time now, and you know, and say, how much you gonna charge me today? So funny. I love them. But anyway, so how do we get to that place of true authenticity? Well, I really think it's in that phrase again from A Course in Miracles, because it goes on to say in that phrase, love which created me is what I am. Love which created me is what I am. That's my authentic self. That love, that place inside of me, that divine expression that I know brings life to this body and brings life to your body and brings life to the entire world, those that we like and those that we don't like, you know? And that authenticity is in every single living thing in the world. Isn't that wonderful? And we can connect with that. And so, you know, let me go ahead, because this is the thing. Love is the place where identity and authenticity intersect. And I want you to know that I truly do love myself in my gender nonconformity. It really feels natural to me. It's comfortable, and it's what I am in that authentic place. But this wasn't always the case for me, and a lot of us struggle with this and with our identities versus our authenticities. But let me share something that really cemented it for me. Now, I'm quoting a lot from A Course in Miracles, but that's my spiritual path, and that's what I do. My husband and I talk about the miracles all the time. But as he will tell you, the most repeated lesson in A Course in Miracles is, I am not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. They say that over and over and over. It must be important, you know? So, once I really began to understand this idea that I am not this body that I live in, that God is expressing through this body, but that's not what I am, I began to understand my true freedom. I love my body. I love it. I love it just the way it is. I also love my thoughts, feelings, desires, opinions. I have great opinions. And my identity. But they are not who I am. They are glorious experiences that I'm having. Yeah? Right? Okay. My thoughts, feelings, opinions, identity. These are experiences that I'm having. And love is what I truly am. So, do you guys, you know that phrase, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience? You know that phrase, right? That's what this really means. I'm not a body, I am free. I am still as God created me. And that's why we can experience a crisis with our identities, because identity is an attribute of the body, the way I'm presenting it here. It's not what we are, it's an attribute of the body. Authenticity, once again, is that divine source energy, that love expressing itself through me, as me, in my own wonderful, unique identity, right? In your wonderful, own unique identity. So, this is the place where identity and authenticity intersect. And I have the great fortune right now in my life to travel a lot and sing and speak in wonderful, wonderful situations. I was just in Boston, and I was in North Carolina, and Georgia, and Tennessee, and I just can't express to you the joy that I'm finding, because I'm speaking at Methodist churches and Presbyterian churches and spiritual centers and bars and clubs where people are opening up and they're really bringing in everyone around them. There's a conscious effort in traditional churches these days to actually reach out and include everyone. And we don't see that all the time because we see all the horrible things on the news and this, that, and the other and everything, but it's really, really happening. And you know what? This community is a part of that because you follow these principles. You know who you are, and you let that radiate out into the world, and other people see it in you, and they see your love, and they think, wow, I wonder if I could be like that. And it changes hearts. So you're a part of that movement. And so I'm reporting back to you from the, from the edge, you know, in these places that I go. I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which has an amazing movement right now of social justice and incredible people that are really, you know, changing lives. And then I got a phone call while I was in Chattanooga from a Presbyterian church in Cookeville, Tennessee. And they said, we hear you're, you know, in Chattanooga. It's only a 2-hour drive. Can you come speak at our church? And I did, and it was so wonderful. Tiny little town in Tennessee. And they rallied so many people together. The LGBT community came out of the woodwork, you know, and they didn't even know that all these people were around. And these were, you know, just regular church folks in the Presbyterian church there. So it's happening, right? You're having an impact, your prayers. So that confident understanding of our authenticity, guess what? It takes practice, you know? It does. And that's what we do. We're spiritual practitioners. We're spiritual scientists. We try it on and we prove it for ourselves, right? And it works. So I want to share with you a piece of my daily practice. And if you'd like to do this with me, I invite you to close your eyes and get into a wonderful place of light, knowing that we are all one. And I'm going to share with you a practice that I picked up from Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And it's called I Love Myself. So I'm going to repeat the lines, and I'll let you say them to yourself or either speak them out loud if you like. And we'll just affirm our self-love, because from this place, we can walk in the world authentically. Here we go. I love myself. My life feels good. I can have what I want. And I choose joy. And I choose peace. Opportunity finds me. I create what I need. I am open to suggestions. I accept success. I take responsibility. Abundance flows to me. Abundance flows through me. Abundance flows to us. I am always in the right place at the right time. I feel good. All is well. I forgive myself. And I love myself. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this deep self-knowledge of who we are. Love which created me is what I am. I seek no more today. Love has prevailed. And so it is. Thank you.